I'm Conrad Feetsum, and here we have Jamie Stewart from Xiu Xiu. How's your day going?
It's pretty good. How's yours?
Going all right. Just woke up. All right, so I have two, I have some music questions and then some more personal questions, if that's all right.
That's all right. Yeah.
So I feel like
Anything?
let's just get into it, I guess.
Shall we?
Um, all right, so sorry, I'm gonna be a little bit awkward at first before I get used to
No sweat.
it. All right, so I've seen I went to one of your concerts 2 years ago. I think it was in like Tustin or something, Orange County. And then when I watch your live performances, just recorded or anything, not to psychoanalyze you, but I watch your face and your eyes and stuff like when you're singing, and sometimes a lot of times you have your eyes closed, and it seems like you're kind of almost blocking the world out. I guess if that makes sense. And so when you're performing live, do you feel like you're 100% in the moment? Do you have to focus on that, or is it something that just kind of happens?
When it's working, it just happens. You're the first person that's ever asked me the eyes closed question, actually. um, this is a very common thing that a lot of musicians experience when they're playing is, when it's going well and you're really sort of being, pardon all the hippiness, but music is a sort of the hippie pursuit.
Yeah.
Um, you're just sort of being led along by the goddess of music. You have nothing to do with it. You're just there, and it is occurring. And the goal is to try to get into a state or to allow a state that that happens freely. And the point of that is, pardon me, not all the time, but most of the time. If somebody is at a show and they're seeing somebody who's playing who's in that state, generally then the music is it's coming across the best for the people who happen to be there. The point of doing that is to have it be as good as possible for the people who've taken the time to show up.
Yeah, that's what it looks like when
um
I. Oh, sorry.
oh sorry, whether or not my eyes are closed, I may fortunately be in that state, or I may be like doing everything I can to get into that state. I have played with people and they're just snap, they can just get there. For me, I'm not as good a musician as I would like to be, but I'm working on it always. So it's a constant pursuit.
Yeah,
And
no.
also, this is sort of like a kooky thing, is I'm really really shy.
Mm.
So like the eyes closed thing is just a way for me to sort of like deal with sort of being around that many people at the same time. On the rare occasion I open my eyes and I look and I see somebody there, I'm like, oh, mamma mia, I can't. What am I doing? I gotta leave. I can't do this. So it's as much an attempt to have the music be as good as it could be as it is almost just sort of to deal with my own social ineptitude.
Yeah, that's like what I got kind of from watching it. It seemed more of like a like you're immersed in it rather than blocking things out. But I yeah.
The
So
hope is to be immersed, but a little bit is to block things
yeah.
out.
And did that take you like when you first started playing live music? Did that take a long time for you to be able to get to that point, like to get past the nerves and everything, or was it kind of did it feel pretty
I mean, I've
natural?
been, I've been playing in band since I was like 13. So, when I still get very, very nervous. I don't have like crippling stage fright, but I'm nervous every time we play. But I remember, when I was like 14 or something, we were going to play Sarah Buller's birthday party. And it was like my first. I had like done like little recording later on, but it was the first time I was going to play in front of people. I am not exaggerating. I could not sleep for 2 months. Like I lay awake every night, going, oh my god, like being very excited and very nervous. So thankfully, it's not that my nerves are not that intense anymore, but they are not gone by any means.
And how did the performance go at Sarah's?
Sarah Bullock's birthday party. I think rough. I'm gonna say it
Yeah.
was rough.
A learning
Yeah,
experience.
huh?
A learning experience.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, the big learning experience was we didn't really know any songs. We knew one song. We knew the Bauhaus version of Ziggy Stardust, and then we just knew like a verse of a bunch of songs, and we would just sort of play the verse like 7 or 8 times in a row, and look at each other and try and stop at the same time. So the learning experience was that we really needed to get better. That was the learning experience.
Oh, that's pretty good. Okay, I guess we'll kind of shift points here. A lot of these are just random things that I thought of. So when you're writing music, um, I guess specifically lyrics, when is there a point, or is there a point when you are thinking about a topic or just ruminating on something? Is there a point when you decide, oh, I'm going to write a song about this, like something that's been floating in your head for years that you experienced or thought about, and then you're like, oh, I'm going to sit down and write a song, or does something usually happen? You learn about something, or you have an experience, and then you feel the need to write.
It's both things. This for me at this point, there's sort of like four processes. One, I mean, two of them are kind of what you said. Suddenly something will happen and I gotta write it down. And very, very, very rarely, like the actual lyrics will just, be beamed from the aforementioned goddess of music and they'll be there. I mean, that's a lucky event. Occasionally that happens, but not that often. And then sometimes I gotta, like a ton of people who make stuff. I have a trillion notebooks with like 999 stupid ideas and one maybe okay idea. I just, write them down, like maybe stuff to write about or something. And then the other thing is, along with those notebooks, I'll just, write a bunch of lines. And then when it comes time to write a song, I'll kind of go through them and sort of see, what if there is a through line or if there's something, connecting all these kind of like subconscious thrown off lines, and again, the vast majority of them are not usable, but maybe there'll be something in there. And now lately we have a new band member, David Kendrick, and he's a very accomplished lyricist also, and he's been writing some things, um, a few things back to front. Nonetheless, not on excuse me on our most recent record, the one that's coming out in a couple of days. He wrote a lot of lyrics for that, and sometimes he has written the complete lyrics. And for a couple of them, he'll write the choruses or something, and then I'll write the verses, or
Hmm.
mess with his choruses. It's sort of a genuine collaboration.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, that was something I wanted to get into actually. So is David Kendrick an official member now?
Mhm.
Awesome. How did you guys how did that happen?
It's a kind of almost an overly cute story. When I was a teenager, by the at how we got connected would take a million years to explain. But I ended up playing in a band with David, and David is had been in incredibly great bands. He was in Devo and in Sparks and
Yeah.
Cleaning Spires and played with a lot of other people. And then there was some other like new wave of punk rock heavyweights in that band. Paul Rossler, who was in the Screamers, and Josie Cotton. She had a couple of hits in like top 10 hits in the 80s. Um, Kenny Lyon is an incredible guitar player. He's played with a trillion fantastic people. And Geza X, who was kind of the guy who led the band, he was a producer of the Germs and Dead Kennedys and a bunch of other really seminal LA punk rock bands. And he had a band called the Mommy Men, which are look them up. They're genuinely
All right.
insane. Um, but anyway, they were all adults, and I was like really like not old enough to get in places we were playing. I literally had to sit outside with my bass and wait for us to play, and then I
Oh
would come
wow.
and play, and then wait for them if they hung out did adult things, and one of them would drive me home or something. Anyway, so David was very always really really nice to me, um, and very very supportive, and and they would have parties occasionally and invite me over. Anyway, so long story, I had to leave LA at, blah, 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 bunch of boring reasons. And, I fell out of touch with him, obviously, and he's not going to continue to stay in touch with a teenager. He has other stuff to do. Um, and then about 10 years ago, I don't live in LA anymore. I just moved to Berlin. But about 10 years ago, I grew up in Los Angeles. Then I moved back there in 2012. And a few years after that, I just kind of randomly ran into him at some art thing. And I mean, he looks almost exactly the same, and we became like basically became social friends again, and it just I would like his wife a lot also, and they live in the same fantastic bizarro house they used to live in, And I just started going over there for dinner and hanging out. And then my bandmate Angela met them and liked them a whole lot. And David said, if you ever need anybody to play in anything, hit me up. And he's amazing. I didn't want to ask him. I was kind of too
Yeah.
nervous to ask him. And he with the record we had before the new one that's coming out, called Oh No, he played a bunch on that. And we had a couple, we had, this year's the first time we have toured. We'll be touring since before the pandemic, but we've had a couple one-off shows. Asked me if he wanted to do those, and he was great. And I kind of sheepishly asked him if he wanted to full on join the band, and he very graciously agreed to. So it's kind of an amazingly long arc, but also it's sort of sweet and nice also.
Yeah, that's really cool. So you met all the way back. So you guys were like playing. You'd play shows like at the same venue or something, and then you kind of
Oh
cross
no,
paths that way.
I was in the band with those
Oh, oh,
guys.
okay. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, they had like the little dork teenage kid or whatever.
Mm,
I don't know why. But anyway, yeah, I was in a band with them,
wow.
um, and which was, I obviously learned a lot, as you would
Yeah.
imagine.
I guess something related to that. Your father, was he a producer, right?
Mhm.
Something like that. So I guess I just had a couple questions about that. 'Cause I grew up in a family that just like was not into art or music really at all, and so growing up with that, did that influence you a lot? Like his take on music, I
Oh
guess, or
yeah.
his did he show you a lot? Did you guys play together?
Um, yeah, yes and no. Yes, he was a humongous influence on me, but in more, it's like philosophical ways. We
Mm,
really, when I was a kid, we played together all of one time. Um, and he didn't really show me that much, like how to play, like maybe once or twice showed me one or two things. But he would do things like, uh, he was in a band as a kid, and they had a couple of hits, and then he became a session guitar player, and then he became a record producer and had some very big success with that, and then got into like basically like the gear end of the music business. And he would do things like I would just come home and there would be like a synthesizer on my bed, and if I played with it enough, it would stay, and if I didn't play with it in 2 months, it would just, without an explanation, be
wow.
gone. And then I sort of realized, oh, okay, like if a piece of gear magically shows up in my room, like I better take advantage of it. But he really didn't show me that much. I think his personal musical approach had a lot to do with, if you teach yourself, then you'll come up with something,
Mm,
more interesting. So, I mean, he didn't show me nothing, but it wasn't like we
yeah.
worked on music all the time together. And then he had a lot of kind of drug and psychological problems. And when I was growing up, he wasn't really around that much, and he was also workaholic. Um, and then when I was in my very early 20s, or younger than that, maybe like just out of high school, he kind of had a period where he kind of got his act together for a little bit, and we played together in the first band that I ever sang in for a couple of years, which is really nice. I think he was trying to kind of, at that point, he was realizing I was getting more serious about music, and he was trying to just connect with me more and try to make up for not having been around when I was a kid. And then, unfortunately, he went crazy again and kind of got back into drugs and ended up dying through that. Um, but in that kind of very brief period where we were actually like playing together in a band, he talked to me a lot about just like reasons to play and kind of where to play from, and in your heart, and just how to approach music, and really in fairly broad strokes. And then he also in the gear way, got me the like a really he worked at the company that invented Pro Tools, and he got me like a really early version of Pro Tools and
Oh wow.
showed me how to do that, and kind of before it was before it was that accessible.
Mm,
So in this like garbage house that I lived in, I had like a fairly like sophisticated recording setup. Um, like when it kind of like it made Xiu Xiu possible, essentially, that we could do a lot of experiments, and record them in a reasonable way. So I mean, it's a long story, but in big picture ways, he was massively influential. In a smaller day to day way, not so much.
okay, yeah.
But if I could pick one or the other, I would pick the macro version
Okay.
of his influence. In those ways, he was very very generous with his musical spirit. Um, And I mean, I don't want to go on too much, but he was extraordinarily talented musician.
Yeah, I've checked out some of his work. Like I found like a list of some of the things, and yeah, it was
Oh,
really good. um, do you have like an earliest memory of kind of when you, I guess, figured out you were into music? Because I know some people they just don't really listen to music, but then some people like for at least for me, I have like a vivid memory of like finding like a Green Day CD when I was like 3 years old, and I was like, "What is this?" And
oh,
like said,
fascinating.
I had never, like I'd heard the radio, but I never really, I don't know. Do you have something like that when you kind of first you're like, "Oh, I'm
Oh
into
yeah, yeah,
this," like,
yeah, totally. It's kind of two things. I think when I was like 8, my parents got me a stereo and like 3 or 4 cassettes or something and some blank tapes. And I mean, there was music around, because my dad was in the music business and there was musicians around and stuff like that. But similar to you, like I didn't really understand. It's a big concept for a small mind, and
yeah,
I understood. I mean, I could recognize what music was, but like how it fit into society or how it fit into somebody's life, I didn't really understand. When I had like my own device, I was like, okay, I can press play. Oh, wow, fantastic. Queen's greatest hits. This is amazing. And I remember like it had the tape, there was, it had like a tape counter on it. And I remember like writing down, like, oh, okay, so song 1 starts at 0, song 2 starts,
yeah.
doing that kind of stuff. And then I had a foster sister for a little while, for a year, and I think I was 8, she was 17, and I mean, it's fairly classic, but got me like had a Beatles record. It was Abbey Road, and I just listened. And, she gave that to me, and I just listened to that constantly. And then which is cool, and then less cool, she got me the Styx record, Grand Illusion. So I just listened to those. I came up from school every day and listened to those back to front, and then like would like do like air guitar and stuff like that. And that was all around the same time. I was 8 or 9.
That's good. I like that.
I think I still I made up like a Weird Al Yankovic style song of Grand Illusion called "The Grand Fart," which which I somehow still mostly remember the lyrics to.
Well, I'll be waiting for that release. I'll be-
Yeah, release. Excellent choice of words.
oh, I guess I kind of want to talk about Shoe Motherfucking Shoe on your Bandcamp, your
Hmm.
subscription. Um, so when did that start? 'Cause I've been following it, I guess, for like 3 years, I think.
Oh, wow.
Did it? When did it start? Could you tell us it?
I mean, it was like a lot of people did, and was just when the pandemic was happening, it became very apparent touring was not going to happen. I mean, I was actually in the middle of rehearsing to go on a tour in Austin with Jonathan Myberg, who was the singer in Shearwater. We were gonna do like a duo thing, and I think and we realized, oh, okay, everything is getting canceled, and I think I got on one of the last flights you could get on for a while, and flew home. And he and I think still has like a Patreon page, and was just like, you got to do this. You like this, there's not going to be any money for a long time. I'm like, nah, the pandemic's going to be over in like 20 minutes. He's like, no, man, he's a science guy. This guy understands these things. He's like, no, 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 do it. I was like, oh, okay, well, we'll give it a shot. And I mean, there's not a ton of people who do it, but the people who've done it seem to be like enthusiastic enough that it makes sense for us to continue to do it. Um, and I mean, also, it's it's been in 2 ways. It's been incredibly positive for me. I mean, I've just had to get my engineering shops. I mean, I'd always mostly recorded our stuff, but I didn't have to record a bunch of stuff every single month, for a couple of years. So I got my engineering shops have improved tremendously, and it's enjoyable to do also. And then it's I mean, it's not an insane amount of money, but I mean, I haven't had a straight job in since 2003, so it's nice to just have like a small but predictable amount of money coming in every month. This has helped me to relax a little bit. But I mean, mostly it's I mean, getting to work on music at any time is an incredible privilege, and having essentially like an assignment every month for me, just how my brain works. It's been really it's been a real privilege to get to do it.
That's awesome. So like, yeah, it keeps you kind of in the game
It keeps me
if
on
you're
my
not.
toes and in the
Yeah,
game. Yeah, yeah.
that's
I've
cool.
I've, I felt much like a much sharper musically generally since we've been doing it.
And I feel like it's so underrated. Like I know quite a few people know about it, but it's just I think my favorite part is like all the covers and then the drunk commentaries, of course. Like 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 I play with the stems and stuff like every now and
Oh,
then I'm
cool.
like,
Oh,
"Oh,
thanks,
this
man.
is cool." Like whatever, just mess around, but the drunk commentaries I feel like that's where you get your money's worth like and so I wanted to ask like about the drunk commentary specifically. What's that process? How drunk do you get? Do you get drunk
Pretty
beforehand?
drunk. It takes a lot out of me. I'm always really brutally hungover the next
Mm,
day. The last one for Grow with Basket of Fruit, I have a special relationship with alcohol.
mm,
I mean, I'm not a hardcore alcoholic, but I really like to drink.
mm,
I like how it tastes and I like the sensation.
yeah.
But I ain't getting any younger, so like, the negative effects and the positive effects, they're about even, whereas before the positive effects were much greater
Mm,
than the negative effects. So I need to drink less. I'm not going to die. So, I'll just be off booze. I'll be
mm,
completely off booze for, several months at a time. And I had it in my mind. Basically, like I feel like, oh, I have to do the drunk commentary today for some reason. And the one for Kerwood Basket of Fruit, which was the most recent one, it wasn't in a period when I was drinking, but so I just smoked. Can I talk about
yeah, yeah,
drugs on this?
yeah.
I got super high and just did that one real high instead of drunk. So it was stoned commentary, not drunk commentary. But which is, and I think for one, I think it was that one for maybe it was for the Air Force. I think I got drunk and stoned and took mushrooms also. So that one was pretty
Whoa.
kooky, I think. But yeah, I mean, the next day, except for the stone ones, I didn't feel hungover, fortunately. But usually, I mean, and also a lot of them are about fairly horrible. I mean, the songs
Yeah.
they're not fun songs. I mean, some of them are. I mean, some of the drunk commentaries are funny, but for a few, they're while I'm wasted revisiting some fairly rotten parts of
Yeah.
my life, so they can take a lot out of me in addition to being wildly hungover the next day.
Yeah, it
We
almost
kind of run out. Like there needs to be a fair amount of time. Like I thought it was a little too soon to maybe have done Forget, which came out in 2017, and Girl Basket Fruit, which came out in 2019. I probably should have waited a little longer. So for any subsequent records, I think there needs to be at least 7 or 8 years of time to
mm,
really figure out, to have a little bit of perspective on them.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I feel like sometimes I can kind of or not see, but feel like when I listen to it, I almost feel guilty because I'm like, this seems
Oh no, it's fine.
intense.
I mean, I wouldn't do them
But
if I didn't want to do them.
no, I know.
There's nobody forcing me to do it. I mean, it's a curious. I mean, I really appreciate that people check them out, and people are usually pretty nice about it. I mean, I'm sure I mean, other than like when I'm done with it, I'll immediately edit it, no
Mm.
matter how drunk I am, and I never listen to them again, except occasionally when I am very drunk, just out of curiosity. And then I don't really remember it. So, I mean, I am sure I say some really stupid things on there that are incredibly dumb and unflattering. Um, and that that people find anything enjoyable in that idiocy. I don't mind playing a part.
Yeah, I feel like it's such a good insight, into people that you don't often get to see, especially like with artists. It's like I'll never meet whatever, just some famous person, right? And then that you have followed forever, and then you're like, oh, well, this guy's posting recordings of him just totally wasted, talking about crazy stuff. Of course, I'm gonna listen. Like, it's amazing.
It came from I listened. There's this a Pet Shop Boys record called. Oh, the name just fell out of my brain. Probably I can't remember when it came out. Maybe 2009 or something. And they had an album commentary, which I really enjoyed listening to. And at that time, I was drinking really heavily. And I thought, oh, well, okay, obviously, there's only one way for me to do this is just a drunk commentary. So,
That's awesome. All right. Let's see. Probably do one or two more questions. I thought this one would be all right. What would it take for you to completely sell out? So I'll roll out like a scenario for you, right? Like, let's say some head at Disney came up to you and was like, "We love your music. Your composition's amazing. We think you'd be great for this new like Mickey Mouse show, but like, of course, you can't have any lyrics it's for 4-year-olds. Like, but I don't know, for some reason, like, what would it take for you? Because I think anyone would want to do that, right? Because that would be fun. But let's just say, like, that's your new full time job. You can't do Xiu Xiu anymore. Like,
Oh, like what would it take? I mean, to do music for, I guess through Disney, they're pretty gross. I mean, ugh, I don't know. I mean, it would have to be something like, you can do this, but we'll use all our money to combat climate change. Like
oh,
something they would have to do, like the trade would have to be really big. Some uh yeah, I mean, I don't think any amount of, I mean, it would have to be billions of dollars for me to do something that, like, quit doing sushi and then like do music for Disney, and only billions of dollars because, okay, I figured with billions of dollars, like I could conceivably do something genuinely good for the world, to make up for the fact that my day job is doing something genuinely awful for the world.
I wouldn't say that.
Um, yeah, I mean, there would, for me to give that up, there would have to be some major, incredibly significant positive outcome on the other end, other than me just making money.
Yeah, yeah. All right, good. That's an interesting answer. Yeah, I feel like most people just be, oh yeah, $1 million.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to be a cornball, but
No, yeah,
music and politics are important to me.
yeah. Well, and I feel like too, especially music, especially if you're a person that relies on it to survive, kind of like creating it or listening, that's kind of invaluable.
Oh
Versus,
yeah, like I couldn't get to the day. Like I'm nuts. Like, and it is without exaggerating the thing that keeps me on the rails.
well, yeah, I would say a lot of your fans feel the same way, probably.
It's it is one of the few pure things in life, or it has the possibility of being pure, which not a lot of things do.
It's a good way to put it. And I guess to wrap up, I think I talked to you about it a little bit ago. So on this show, we usually each show, if I have a guest or something, we'll just talk about like a song or two from their past, if there's any memories tied to it. Do you have any, just off the top of your head, any that are important to you? And then I can play it after the show.
Oh, okay. That's a good question. I wish I had some time to think about it when I gave a good answer. I'll say okay. Just because I was just listening to a documentary about the song, about Otis Redding. Uh, there's this the first Otis Redding single was "These Arms of Mine," and when I was a kid, I got really into. I mean, I'm still a big 60s Soul fan, but I got super into Otis Redding. But I was just thinking about him today. So how about "These Arms of Mine" by Otis Redding?
Yeah,
And it sort of introduced me to, that he opened up a whole world of music for me.
awesome. Yeah, I'll definitely play that. And then I guess I'll share mine. And today, of course, I have to do a Shoo Shoo song. Um, we play you guys a lot on the show.
Oh,
And
thanks.
one, I only, oh, 1 second, something just popped up on my screen. Yeah. So I moved to Idaho only like a year ago, and I just thought I should
Mm.
share this randomly. Like I have a couple shirts that I got from a show and what or something like that, and wearing it. I grew up in Southern California, and just where I lived, I don't know. A lot of people don't go out, but up here, people point out my shirt like a lot. You have a lot of fans here.
Oh, funny.
I was really surprised. I was like, whoa, everyone knows like this shirt. That's awesome. But so I guess my musical diary for the day will be "Get Up" off of Forget.
Oh,
Um,
thanks.
that's probably my most listened to song of yours, and I guess my memories of it are I got really into that album again right when quarantine started. For some
Mm.
reason, and my memories I was growing weed in my backyard with my mom, blasting Forget 24/7 and playing way too much Call of Duty and vaping and just wasting away and being drunk all the time.
I am deeply honored to have been a part of that
Yeah.
trinity of weed, Call of Duty, and records.
Yeah, it's
Thanks.
definitely the soundtrack to my quarantine. All right. Well, I really appreciate you coming out today. Sorry, yeah, it's been 2 months, 2.5 months in the making. So much chaos been going
Well,
on.
I appreciate the hustle on your part.
Thank you. Yeah, so that's it. Oh, let's plug your upcoming album. I guess yeah, we didn't really have too much time to talk about it. Do you want to talk about or just say the name, release date, where people can get it?
Oh yeah, it comes out on March 3rd, or not March 3rd. How did I not know this? March 1st. Holy cats. March 1st,
Wow.
not March
Okay.
3rd.
Yeah.
Which is this Wednesday. Ignored Reef on our longtime label Polyvinyl Records.
All right. And then, do you want to plug your book?
Oh yeah, I have a book coming out in the first week of April called Anything That Moves.
Yeah, I wish we could talk about that more, but maybe another time.
Okay, another time. I'll take it from you.
All right. Awesome. All right. Thank you so
Cool.
much.
Thanks, Conrad. Nice to talk to you, and
Thanks,
thanks for
Jamie.
checking out the Xiu MF Xiu.
Of course. Yeah. I'd love to do it. All right. I'll catch you later.
Okay, take care, man. Have a nice day.
Bye.
Bye.